Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Formula Talks podcast. This is episode 1, and today we are joined by
James. Hello.
Yeah, there we go. That was your cue. You got the cue. Well done. Today we're going to be having a little look at some of the latest news in Formula racing in general, really. And we're going to get straight into it. So, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So, you ready to go? We've got some good stuff today.
Yep.
So, should we go straight to the news?
Yep.
Right. So, you were the one who first brought up the whole Sainz trolling the internet thing.
Yeah,
you're aware that was weird.
Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, that was First of all, I didn't know Spain had their own version of April Fool's Day that's on December 28th for whatever reason. I wasn't aware.
I think that's what trolled everyone though.
Yeah.
No one knew it existed.
In fact, I actually have another Spanish rider who came up with a pretty good troll yesterday as well.
Oh, who's that?
I'm sure you are aware of Dani Pedrosa. Yes.
No.
For God's sake.
Oh, he's the MotoGP rider.
Yes, he is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you watch MotoGP? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Right. We're just gonna go past that. So he put on Twitter, and this is the first time you're gonna hear this, and it got me at the start, and it got a lot of people on Twitter. So he put, after having a good think, I've decided to accept the Red Bull offer and become an F1 driver in 2020.
Oh.
That was brilliant. And the comments on it was so perfect. And of course, he is referring to when he did a Red Bull test with the F1 team in the F1 car. And
yeah, he drove the 2012 Pedrosa car, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I believe. I'm not sure, but yeah, he was off the time that it was expected. So not very good. He beat the expected time, so he was actually a fairly solid driver. So a lot of people did start saying, "Well, we get him in an F1 car," which would be quite cool. It's gonna start happening at some point. I feel when we start getting. We've seen it already with IndyCar, and obviously Alonso, and apparently Sainz for a little bit. And Marcus Ericsson, he's gone to IndyCar this year as well.
Yeah.
I feel that could start happening quite a bit more now, and I think it had really stopped for quite a few years, the kind of integration of drivers into different categories. But Alonso with the Indy 500, what was that, 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
Yeah, he really has brought it back again. And then I feel like it actually would have got bigger this year. Especially with Race of Champions, I feel like more drivers would start participating in that again if it wasn't online.
Well, this has been happening in the World Rally Championship for 20 years now, with people going to rallycross. So
yeah,
I can see it happening with circuit racing.
Yeah, it would certainly not be too much of a surprise given what we've seen in more in recent years. And I still remember Alonso announcing that he would be doing IndyCar, and that everyone was so surprised by it. But 30, 40 years ago, no one would have batted an eyelid to it at all. It was just normal.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've kind of missed that in the last, even 10 years. It's just been something that we haven't been able to see. Of course, we had Hulkenberg going to Le Mans and winning, and that was good. But at the end of the day, do you feel it's actually good for Formula One to have these drivers going out and doing other categories as well, or is it potentially
I think there should be Formula One drivers going out, but there shouldn't be new people coming in, because the amount of young drivers that just aren't getting seats anymore is ridiculous.
Yeah. Speaking of drivers coming in and potentially getting rid of young drivers on the grid, we have Robert Kubica.
Yeah.
Of course, for next year, which is do you feel that's good or?
I don't think it is good because Ocon wouldn't actually get any more proper experience in the Williams.
No.
So it was either him or Ocon.
Yeah. Well, also rumoured for a bit was Artem Markelov to get the seat, and you watched F2 this year, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah, it was good. Markelov was good as well. He qualifying maybe could have done a bit better, but he was a bit of a Max Verstappen, but maybe with a little bit less pace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which still always interesting to see the sport over Robert Kubica, who's like 38? Is he 38? He's old. Let's just go with that, he's old.
Yeah.
And,
well, he's proven though as well.
He's proven, but he hasn't been in a single seater for 8 years. So obviously he has done the tests, and they think he is quick enough. And that's something that we should instantly show to all the people who are thinking he's going to be 10 seconds off the pace come Melbourne. He won't be. He is clearly capable enough in a Formula One car. But I just feel it's such a stupid move because it's similar to Schumacher coming back, but obviously it's not comparative to Schumacher. It's just not. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right with me, and
it's just like the analysis of the car for Williams, though.
It is, yeah, because obviously Kubica he does have experience in Formula One cars. Albeit not recently, necessarily, not in competitive situations.
He's still going to be able to tell them where to upgrade stuff.
That's what I was going at. He is capable of developing that car, which, in all fairness to Williams, is something, based on this season, they desperately do need.
Yeah. So, did you see that Claire Williams said that even if they had triple the budget, they still wouldn't be able to, challenge?
Yeah, no, I've seen similar things from Force India saying it was a stupid figure. It's saying they need an extra £100 million a year to be able to make that jump from the midfield to the top. And, that's what the Strolls can bring to the team. So there's a couple of years development. Renault, I reckon, could be up there as well soon. But anyway, we'll save that for the F1 preview podcast. We're going to get all into that in a different podcast with someone else who can't be here today, who we'll introduce in the future. Time travel. Right. So, this is our first segment of James's Irrelevant Rally. You knew this was coming.
Oh, yeah.
So today, what are you going to be talking about?
Sebastian Ogier moving to Citroen.
Yeah, thank God, because that's what I had on the running order. So, right, you discuss.
That's good. Well, he left M Sport Ford for Citroen, and no one knows why.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, he's a proven champion, and he's one of the best drivers to ever live, in my opinion.
He's just one of the best drivers to ever grace the planet.
Well, in the WRC, then yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's just he's left a team that he knows he can win rallies with to someone who's not actually proven that they can win. So it's a bit like Alonso moving to McLaren, in my opinion.
Yeah. I would also go along the lines of Valentino Rossi deliberately going to worse teams just to prove that he can win.
Yeah.
And he did, which was a bit, that was strange. But yeah, it's, I don't personally watch any rallying, but I do know the drivers. I know a lot of the drivers, like their names. And I knew Ogier was good. I don't know what cars are good. And I just saw he was switching, and I was like, because I know there's a pretty big difference in rally between what car you're in, obviously, because they'll handle differently.
Yeah.
And where did he move?
He moved to Citroen.
Yeah, Citroen.
After winning the championship last year with M Sport.
Okay, right. So Citroen cars will have a different handling. So do you reckon that? Well, obviously they will have different cars.
Yeah.
But do you think that could hinder his season next year?
I don't think it'll be the handling. I just don't think it's as good as a car as the M Sport car.
Fair enough. Yeah. Have you got anything more to add on James's Irrelevant Rally today?
No.
Oh, that's a fair answer. So, I believe that is it. Oh no, we have more news. So we have the Red Bull threatening to pull out Formula One again. So this is very Ferrari.
Yeah, they said that they'd moved to WEC for the hypercar rules with their Valkyrie.
Yeah, which we'll get onto next. What do you think of these new WEC specs for the cars?
I think it might actually be really good for the WEC.
Why?
Well,
So a bit of a harder question, but why do you feel this way?
manufacturers are able to actually advertise their cars, so it's gonna bring in actual manufacturers, even though people like BMW said that they won't.
They might reconsider.
Yeah, I still think that drivers will definitely want to drive these.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
It's just some movable aero, and it's basically the team can do whatever they want with a car and race it, and I just think that's what motorsport needs at the moment.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Now, ultimately, I have many major issues with WEC as a motorsport, and I watch Le Mans. I always watch the races. Don't get me wrong here. I watch them. I do follow it. I know what's going on. But that's the issue. I have no clue what is going on half the time. And that is a very common complaint with the series. And it's not often in motorsport you get a bunch of people complaining and it makes sense what they're complaining about. Like the Halo is always debatable, but WEC, there's no real debate. It is incredibly confusing.
It's because you've got 4 sets of regulations to understand.
Yeah,
you've got 4 different cars that are all completely different, that you all have to try and find out what they do.
Yeah, and also it's not always the most distinguishable when you're looking between them either, because a lot of the teams have very different looking cars. Some GT AM cars can look like GT Pro cars, and then it's the other way around. Some LMP2 cars can also look a bit, very much like an LMP1 car. It's the issues you have of they're not even easy to distinguish necessarily.
Yeah.
And I went to WEC at Silverstone this year, the 6 hours of Silverstone race, and I enjoyed it. It was good. They put a good event on. And personally, I'm actually incredibly, in a way, upset to hear they're shortening it to 4-hour races now. Because it doesn't give you enough time. Because you always want to watch the first hour and a half of the race. Then you've got to travel to the centre of the track, half hour, easily, depending on where you're sitting.
Yeah.
And then after that point, only given half an hour to do stuff before you have to go back for the last half hour of the race, and that's annoying because my personal way where I would like to do a WC event, and I know a lot of people do because a lot of people are in the middle, not actually watching the race anymore, but they're buying food, drink on the
simulators.
Yeah, the simulators, all of I forgot the word then. The bumper cars they always have. It's all that stuff, and it's good to look at. There was a 4D experience of Le Mans last time I went, and that was brilliant. It was on board with Fernando Alonso. It's a lap of Le Mans, and you get properly strapped in, and then the seat's vibrating as you got your VR headset on. It's brilliant. But I won't have time to do that next year, really.
Yeah.
So it's quite long, and you're missing a portion of the race there. And it's a confusing category, WC.
It's also, they're moving more towards their junior, or what some could call junior series, like the European Le Mans series.
Yeah.
And, because that got surprisingly good viewing figures.
Yeah, and it's, I watched, I believe there was one at Spa. Was there one at Spa?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I watched that one. And, I thought it was quite good. It wasn't as long, it was a shorter race, and it was a lot easier to follow.
Yeah, the European Le Mans series is a really good racing series.
It's incredibly underrated in my opinion. It had some good racing in it. So, yeah, that was a 5-minute rant about WEC. Hope you all enjoyed. But yeah, if you could change one thing about WEC, what would you do?
I would actually change it so that all the classes are more different.
Yeah,
so the difference between LMP1 and LMP2, and then the GTM, GT Pro, were different.
Yeah. No, I'm fully with that. They need to be a lot more distinguishable. Or, bear with me on this, radical new idea, just scrap some of the tiers there. Because radical idea here, but maybe don't have 4 races going on at one track expecting everybody to be able to follow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Also, it's a nightmare for broadcasting.
Oh, yeah. We'll get on to a nightmare for broadcasting later on in our discussion about Formula E.
One thing is more manufactured teams in LMP1 specifically.
Yeah.
Because Toyota just stole the show.
Running away with it. Season is not over yet. But, I mean, we know they're gonna win it.
They're like a second quicker than everyone else.
Yeah. So it's pointless. And Jesus, Jenson Button at China. He's
he did
Jesus.
Well.
He was Jesus.
He was Jesus.
Jesus Button. Yeah, just gloss over that completely. He's a god in the wet. What can we say? Also, language. That race was monumentally boring for the first couple of hours.
Yes, it was.
Mostly because there's no race. And then I started watching Macau. And then
Macau was good.
Then Flörsch decided to grow wings, and horrific crash. Don't condone it. Don't condone the crashing. How can you condone a crash? She decided to sprout wings. I really can't speak today. She decided to sprout wings. This is for the editing. So we had to go back to watching the WEC race, which was coming to an end and wasn't
very good.
Interesting. The start was the good bit. That's
yeah.
Can
I just say one thing? Yep. Formula 1 should go to Macau.
Formula 1 should go to Macau. I agree. Macau.
I've raced it on iRacing, and it's just so fun to go around in Formula 1 cars.
Yeah.
I just think they should.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And would it end up being? It's got more straight, so it probably wouldn't. But would it end up being a B-Tech Monaco?
No, because you can actually overtake.
Yeah,
You've got to have pretty big bolts to overtake, but still.
But it's, as we've seen near enough every year at Macau, it's quite prone to having massive pile-ups.
That GT crash was
monumental.
Like 50 million quid just gone down the drain.
It was like the majority of the grid was caught up in that, and
wasn't there like 4 cars that just managed to get back to the pits?
Oh yeah, and the rest of them were stuck and
of like a 30-car grid
because they can open the doors for their car because it was all blocked. So wouldn't be fun to be one of those drivers necessarily. That wouldn't be brilliant. Yeah. Right, shall we move on to the next topic now? I've got it down here. It's a lovely little discussion about televised pre-season testing.
Oh.
Where do you sit on that?
I think they should.
Agreed.
I actually want to go to Barcelona to watch it.
Yep.
But most people don't.
No, it's not necessarily... Well, yeah, a lot of people. It's mostly only Catalonians who turn up to pre-season testing and the media looking to get some pictures, obviously. And, I follow it on the Motorsport coverage all the time.
Yeah.
I'm following the coverage and seeing all the lap times. And at the end of the day, I have F1 TV access because I can't buy Pro. Thank you, law. So, yeah, I have F1 TV access and I would like to watch it. That's straight away.
Yeah.
We've got several thousand people now must have F1 TV. Like, it must be hundreds of thousands now. I can't see it being otherwise. The amount it's been advertised and its usefulness. It's a very useful thing to have. So I reckon it must be in the hundreds of thousands of people who own it, and I don't see any real reason why many of those people who have paid for it wouldn't watch pre-season testing.
Also, even though Formula One media are trying to make it more accessible to less hardcore fans, there still are hardcore fans out there that would love to watch it.
That's an issue I keep finding is they're trying to not necessarily dumb everything down, but they're trying to simplify as much as possible, and that is annoying.
Yeah, like the new tyres are.
It's like compound. What is it? It's like 1A or something like that.
It's 1 to 7, but then
1 to 7.
There's soft, medium, super soft.
Yeah, it's quite confusing.
It's actually more confusing than what it was.
Yeah, but is it only more confusing because we're not used to it yet?
Well, I still think teams will refer to them as the numbers instead of like what they actually are.
So
because
I'm going to try to Google it because there's a great graphic. Can you just do some filler for me? Right. Oh, for God's sake, I can't bother. Right, okay, we're just going to carry on. It's a stupid format of the classification, and personally, I do find it quite confusing, and I don't doubt for a second I'll get used to it. Like, I will.
Yeah.
I'll get used to it, I'll learn it. But personally, at the moment, I'm finding it quite confusing. It's a strange format. I thought they'd just literally have it. You'd just call it, and it would just we don't really need to know what tyres they are using at each weekend. It's not a vital part. I mean, it's nice to know, but at the end of the day, they don't need these silly compound names of like
Hypersoft
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They don't need that, and isn't. I can't remember which way around it is. It's either 1 is the softest or 7 is the softest.
7 is the softest.
Yeah, which to me doesn't make sense because whenever we say it, you go from 1 to 7 being hyper soft, ultra soft, super soft, soft, medium, hard. So that going
super hard
1 forwards, yeah. But now it's reverse. So when they go 1, I'm going to be like, oh, it's hyper soft because that's what I think of as the first tyre, the softest.
Did they even use the super hards at any track?
No, super hards was a tyre just in case Pirelli had got it all wrong on the tyre calculations, and it turns out the tyre deg was absolutely monstrous. Unfortunately, there was no tyre deg, so we didn't really need it. Yeah, that was a bit of a shame. It would have been fun to see that tyre, mostly for the amazing memes that you can get out of having a super hard. Okay. Right.
Yeah, but it would have lasted for about 1,000 laps around Monaco.
Yeah, because I'm convinced on the hypers you could do about 50 laps easily.
Yeah.
But and I'm fairly sure some drivers did because it was an incredibly processional race where people would drive. There was one point when Ocon, who was in like 7th, was lapping 3 seconds quicker than the top 6. It was stupid. It was.
Wasn't he lapping like 12 seconds quicker than Ricciardo or something?
It was something really stupid. Like, I don't think it was 12. That would have been too quick. But it was something stupid, like 3-4 seconds a lap.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because he was in a slower car, he'd already lost the majority of that and got stuck. Probably I reckon he was one of the only drivers pushing that race. I'm convinced.
Yeah.
Mostly.
And Verstappen.
Yeah, and Verstappen, yeah. Monaco is just going to be interesting. If we have another incredibly boring Monaco race, I think we could. If it wasn't such a money-making scheme with all of the rights to the track and all of that for F1, I think we could have seen it dropped if we have an incredibly boring race this year.
Yeah, but it still makes so much money.
That's what I mean. It's too profitable to drop it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what's frustrating me with all these people saying to drop it. They're not going to drop it. They just won't.
Yeah.
They're making too much money off of the whole. People watch the Monaco Grand Prix, not because it's good, it's because it's the Monaco Grand Prix.
It's because it's Monaco.
Yeah, people know where that is. Well, sort of. People know of it as a place. I doubt many people actually know where it is. I'm convinced if we ask someone, they'd think it was in Africa.
for some people.
Yeah, some people referencing inside jokes, which obviously doesn't really work on a podcast. So, right, we're going to go into the next topic now. Formula E. We've got a lot to talk about Formula E because the first race was 2 weeks ago now, and I think 2 weeks to 2 weeks today now.
Yep.
What did you first of all think of the actual race as a whole?
I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was one of my favourite races I've watched in a while.
Yeah. That is, fair enough. Right, first topic of discussion here. Attack mode, is it any good?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
See, I think it could work if, and I think Formula E have heard me on this one, because they've announced that attack mode will actually give more energy than it did in round 1 for the round 2 race. And that was my main complaint, I think it was just from the incredibly poor camera direction, or like the actual broadcast. The director of the broadcast was awful. I think everybody's agreed on that. We spent a good minute looking at an empty attack zone, and then when people actually started going through the attack zone,
we didn't see it.
We didn't see the drivers going through the attack zone, but for the first 10 minutes we're looking at an empty attack zone when there's battles going out on the track. And then when people are actually using it, we don't look at it. It was just so frustrating. And drivers going for overtakes, they would go make a move, you'd see the start of it, and then they'd cut to another battle.
Yeah.
And it's not even a battle, it's just two cars following each other at that point. They weren't battling, and you've just missed an overtake. And then we never got a replay. Sam Bird, I think, made 4 or 5 overtakes. Massive Sam Bird fan. I think he made 4 or 5 overtakes in that race on track. Probably more than that, actually. Because I know a couple of people had incidents and stuff like that, so it would have gave them positions. But they never showed one of his overtakes. Degrassi, he was overtaking people throughout the race. Didn't see any of his overtakes, really. Probably got 1 or 2. No, it was bad enough them missing it live, but then the fact that we never got to see it, that was frustrating. And there was something I did notice was a real lack of onboard shots.
Yeah.
That I thought was really, really weird with the new cars. I mean, they look a bit bulky on the onboard shot, but they're not that bad. They look better off board than they do on board, but I mean, on qualifying, I want to take a lap on board.
Yeah,
Is that
exactly.
too bad? Every single lap was off board. Qualifying also was absolutely dreadful.
Yeah.
The 2 group format does not work, and I really hope, because I'm not aware, because I was asleep when qualifying was going on. I just woke up. I was watching practice 1 and practice 2 when qualifying was on. So I'm not aware of whether that was just because they were running out of time or not, or if the 2 group thing is what they're doing every time, but that was awful.
It didn't work.
The 4 group format's brilliant. F1 should use that 4 group format and Super Pole. They just should.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely brilliant qualifying format. You never know who's going to win. One mistake can drop you it, and it works because you can follow each lap near enough because there's only 4 or 5 cars. Well, it's 5 in each group. It's a lot easier to follow. But when we had 11 going around in one group, I didn't really know what was going on. That was... I was not a fan of the 2 group qualifying format. And I hope that is changed.
Yeah, I don't think it will.
I'm not aware that they've said it will change, but I'm really hoping it goes back to the 4 group, because we're probably rambling on about this, and it was just because they're running out of time because of the delayed practice. Also, since when does it rain in the desert? Just since when?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I was following the weather forecast for a week building up to it. No rain forecast at all. Nothing. Then all of a sudden I wake up in the morning, turn on the practice 1 broadcast because it was on YouTube, so I just watched it, and it was wet. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, but that was the same kind of thing that happened at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Did you see after the race? It was.
Oh yeah, it was really bad, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it came out of nowhere, really.
Literally out of nowhere.
At the end of the race, people were aware rain was coming, but that's because it was about an hour off, so people knew it was coming. But that was strange as well. It is something about motorsport in the desert where it might start raining a bit more. I was still on a Bahrain wet race, really.
That'll be some weird race.
That'd be a pretty good race. Trying to do the S's with a sand-covered track in the wet. That'd just be brilliant. Or the downhill braking is at turn 10. That would be exciting. Anyway, right.
One race that I'm looking forward to
Yep.
is the Monaco E-Prix.
Monaco E-Prix should be good. It'll be our first proper comparison of a Formula 1 and Formula E car on the same track. And I know these series aren't meant to be compared, but let's be honest, we're all going to compare.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see.
I'm interested to see where the attack mode will be.
Yeah, because there's not much. Like, at this, where were we just? Where was it? What was the first race? Adiria, yeah, that's it. I forgot where it just was. We were just talking about it. In Adiria, or Diria, I honestly don't know how to pronounce that. There was a wide straight at the start where you could have the attack zone, where you lost time on the exit of the corner, but there's nowhere you can...
The only place I could see it is the chicane.
Yeah, there's... I genuinely don't know. Also, one of my favourite things about Monaco is qualifying in F1, and it's absolutely brilliant. So, coming into the chicane, near the end of the lap, do you think we'll say Formula E car hitting hitting with their front right, that wall that sticks out, and doing a Van Dorn? Or Verlaine. Who was it? It was Van Dorn. It was Van Dorn. And I think Verstappen did it as well, didn't he?
Yeah, and Ocon.
Yeah, and Ocon, yeah.
That would be funny.
It would. I do want to see, just to prove how easy it is to do, I want to see a couple of Formula E drivers doing that as well. Mostly because I've done it in a league race on F1, and it's pretty embarrassing, so I want to prove to people it's an easy mistake to make.
Also, big up Monaco, the only race I can finish.
Yeah, that's true. You had your hand at league racing on F1 2017, and you actually finished the race. Well done. Elements of sarcasm. No, it is a genuine achievement to finish a race at Monaco on a game and in real life. So, right, we're still on Formula E. We've got a lot of Formula E stuff to discuss, and who do you think will win this season? The championship as a whole. Who will be your victor?
Jonathan.
See, any reason why in particular?
The engine is just so much better.
Yeah. And bear in mind, guys, you can say engine because if you look at the definition of engine, it is still technically an engine. It's just not an ICU. It's
just also when they're braking, the regen on the battery is just that much better. They can decelerate that much quicker.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I just think they'll be able to win.
One thing I did enjoy from that race was the lack of energy saving that seemed to be going on. It seemed they weren't stopping halfway down the straight and just regenning. They were going near enough to the end of the straight. There was still a little bit of lifting and coasting and trying to regen, but there was a lot less of it.
That's a good thing.
I know. Yeah, it was good. And I think that could actually end up reducing the amount of overtaking we see, strangely, because...
Ooh.
Yeah, because if you have... Okay, I'll rephrase that. It will reduce the benefit that you receive by having, let's say, an extra 3% of energy on the car in front of you. Because... Now, let me get into this. If the car in front of you is having to regen more to get to the end of the race, they're having to lift and coast more than you are. Which is straight away proved my point of you could then go for the overtake. And if there was less of that going on, it's harder to overtake in general because the braking zone is shorter, as we see in F1 a lot with these reduced braking zones. That's why we're seeing less overtaking. yeah, I think we start seeing a sort of. I don't think Formula E will get to the stage where anywhere near as bad as Formula One is with the lack of overtaking, because these cars can follow. They can follow quick.
Yeah,
So
they can.
I'm not too concerned about it because these cars genuinely can follow. They're good. But yeah, I do think we could end up seeing it, and that would be a real shame. Not necessarily the complete mess Formula One is, but getting closer and closer.
Yeah.
So
Also, going back to the Monaco E-Prix, I
mhm.
don't think we'll see more than 3 overtakes.
Yeah, because the cars are just as wide as Formula E cars, Formula One cars, near enough, and
I
yeah,
think they're wider.
yeah, they may well be wider. I don't know. I'm not aware on the size, but they're very similar. So, and Formula One cars, it's not an issue of they can't follow necessarily at Monaco because it's not too bad. It's they can't physically fit their car with another car in between the
Yeah.
two gap. Like it doesn't physically go. So I think the Monaco E-Prix could be a bit naff, but we'll have to see about that.
Yeah.
And then the last bit about Formula E. Well, actually, sort of the last bit. Oh no, yeah, this will be the last bit. If you could change one thing based on the first race, what would it be?
That's a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the penalties for overusing power.
Yep,
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, losing Bird and Frames, and I think did Degrassi and Apt get done for the same thing?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was incredibly. Yeah, I think it was that, and then also narration on Eric Vernon and Andre Lotterer getting had, and the issue I have with that is think how unfair that penalty was. So Sam Bird, who qualified, what was it originally, fifth?
They went over a curb wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah, there was a bump on the main straight. They went over it and it caused a spike in the energy usage, which is not good. So it's over the permitted use on the hot lap. So they had, I think it was 10 seconds added to their lap. They don't do it like a grid drop. They just get 10 seconds added to their lap. It's a bit strange. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not quite sure why. But the main thing that annoyed me there was Sam Bird and Jean-Eric Verne committed the complete same thing. They did the exact same thing wrong. But Verne was massively advantaged by the fact that he did it in the race. Because he was running, he was P1 at the time. And he only lost 3 places. Like, he came out in 4th after doing a drive-through penalty, and that was just strange. And Sam Bird inevitably didn't even get in the points after qualifying high up in the grid because he did the
had a
exact
good
same
race.
thing. Sam Bird had a brilliant race in the end. He kept up with Degrassi and so I think the Audis and the Virgins are kind of underdogs for this series. I'm expecting them to get quite a few wins because they were quick in race pace. They were they made up half the grid in the race, so that should sum it up pretty easily. And I just feel like the penalties were quite unfair, but it's not too much of a.
I do think we need to look into that though.
No, I don't. No, it's not something. It's just kind of one of those things that's there and it's annoying, but there's not much you can do about it apart from just making the penalty you have to do a drive-through in the race. Just make it that. So if they said Sam Bird, Robin Frains, Daniel Apt and Lucas Degrassi, you have to serve a drive-through in the first 4 or 5 laps of the race. Fair enough. Like it's an equal penalty then. But Jean-Luc Verne, I feel, definitely benefited from that, which was a little bit frustrating because I want Sam Bird to win. So I'm going to inevitably be biased. And I think the champion is going to be one of the BMW drivers. I think Da Costa could hold it. They have had pace in pre-season testing, and they've clearly shown they have pace in the first race. So
he only won because Verne had a drive-through.
That is true, but I'd argue Verne was only so high up in the first place because all of the Audis got disqualified, effectively, from qualifying. Because I think Bird was originally ahead of Verne in qualifying. Because Verne didn't qualify well, I don't think, did he?
No, I think he qualified like 4th.
Yeah, he didn't qualify ridiculously well, so... And given the race pace the Audis and the Virgins showed, I don't see why they couldn't have been challengers for that win. And, yeah. Anyway, right, Formula E discussion done. We'll do a race preview for... What's the second race? Is it Marrakesh now?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Marrakesh up next in Morocco. So we're going to do a race preview for that, hopefully when we have our extra person next week. So let's go on to the last topic for now. You talked about this earlier, or you mentioned it in the chat last night. W Series.
Yeah.
Obviously, this isn't new news, but we just want to really quickly discuss it because it's filler. No one heard that. Right, so do you think it's going to help women progress in motorsport?
No.
Okay, why?
It does the complete opposite of what they want them to do. It just segregates them.
Yeah, it's not inclusive. And also, can I just point out the absolute mess that would go on if Formula 1 or the FIA said, right, we're going to have an all-men's motorsports here. No women are allowed in it. Can you imagine the absolute backlash they would get for that? But no, it's okay if you have an all-women's series. That's fine. And I'm going to go straight and say this. The women are not as good racing drivers from what we have seen. That's not
From
sexist.
what we've seen.
From what we have seen, they're not as good. That's not sexist. But people are instantly called sexist for saying that. But from what we have seen, the women racers that are around at the moment clearly aren't good enough. Tatjana Calderon's been getting F1 test drives, and this has been really annoying me. Because all of the Tatjana Calderon fan boys, I guess in this case, I don't know, were like basically having to go at you if you say anything bad about her. That's not acceptable. She's a brilliant driver. She has been sub-average in Formula 3 this year.
Have you seen her GP3 performances? They're terrible.
That's what I mean. She's been sub-average. Her best finish is like 14th in the championship. She had a couple of like 8ths and 7ths.
Yeah.
That's not good. Like, I'm sorry, she's clearly a good driver. Like, obviously, if you're even getting points in a Formula 3 tip, but she's not good enough to be getting F1 tests. She's getting those drives for PR because she's a woman.
Yeah, that's the only reason she's getting them.
And again, you can call me a sexist all you want. Anybody online who doesn't agree with that, it is true. If a man had the pace that Tatjana Calderon has, he would not be getting a test drive with a Formula 1 team. And
they wouldn't. How long is it until like a trans person gets it?
I honestly don't know. Just because they're trans, I don't know. But the way the world is going, not long. So W Series, do I think it will help?
No.
I'm gonna watch it if there is a way we can watch it on TV, because I'm not quite sure it's actually warranted a TV spot, because it's not necessarily the most thrilling thing. But I will watch it if I can, and you know what? Change my mind. The girls on that grid, they can change my mind. If they put on an amazing race, they show really good pace, and then if one of them break into Formula 2, perform well, put them in a Formula 1 car. I'm fine with that. There's absolutely nothing against the women in motorsport. If they're good enough, they get in it. That's simple. When everyone says Formula 1 is a sexist sport because we never get any women in it, it's not true. We just haven't had good enough women drivers. And it's not necessarily even women's fault. It's the actual proportion of males to females in motorsport isn't enough. It's so dominated by men. It's inevitable that F1's going to be full of men. That's just how it goes, because there's more of them in the sport. So, yeah, okay, I think that should do it. If we say anything more controversial...
One thing is good about W Series is that the women don't have to pay for the drive. They get it free.
Straight away on that. You won't have a Lancet Stroll. I don't know. because they don't have to pay for their seat, which I think is absolutely amazing. Now, could we please get that funding in men's motorsport as well? That would be
exactly.
a little bit, that's sexist. The women get the free drives, but we don't because we're a different gender, which is frustrating as well. And I'm not going to get into another rant about that because that could go on for a while. So before we say anything more controversial, I want to end this podcast here. I'd like to thank James for coming on today.
Thank you.
Yeah, and hopefully he'll be back for next week, and we'll have another person as well who, because I've missed one or two things out on here that I would like to involve in the next podcast, which will actually be in 2019. So, Happy New Year's to everyone, and
Happy New Year.
Yeah, of course, if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to Formula Talk on YouTube. That would be massively appreciated because we've already got 8 subscribers after one video and less than 24 hours. So if you are already subscribed and watching this, I'd like to thank you so much for even starting this channel, really. And I'd like to see it grow over the next however long we decide to do this. Next podcast should hopefully be out next week. We might miss one or two in the off season if people can't make it, or if there just isn't any news, we might miss one or two. And of course, if there's anything you think we have missed from this podcast you would like us to discuss, I am more than happy to discuss it with you in the comments section, or on Twitter if you follow me at BCYT, BCEEYT. That's my Twitter. Feel free to follow and DM or anything. And, of course, YouTube comments as well. I'm happy to discuss it on there with you. And maybe, if it's a good enough question, we'll discuss it on the podcast. So, would you like to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Yeah, thank you again for watching. And before I draw this out for another minute, we'd like to thank you. So, see you guys next week.
See you guys next week.
Goodbye.